Hello, candle lovers. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Greg, and this is All About Candles. I'm your self-proclaimed Canadian candle connoisseur. Today I have a review for you from Goose Creek. This is one of their Wizard of Oz collaboration candles, and it was called There's No Place Like Home. Oh, I love the Wizard of Oz, you guys. And I think that this packaging is really nice. I think they did a great job on the packaging for these Wizard of Oz candles. I could do without the Warner Brothers trademark disclaimer situation there, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do when you're doing collaborations like this, I guess. Great picture of the ruby slippers and the yellow brick road, and you can just see a little bit of the Emerald City back there. This was a really lovely candle, and in fact, I'm finding all of the candles that I've been burning from this collection before to be really lovely. I should probably say there's a good chance that I'm a little bit biased here just because I have such an emotional and nostalgic connection to this movie. And I thought that this was a pretty lovely candle. It could have stood to have been a bit stronger. The scent notes on There's No Place Like Home: vanilla petals, sweet almond, creamy tonka, and cashmere. These are a few of my favorite things. Goose Creek does some vanillas really well, and you know I'm a big fan of vanilla stuff, and this candle was lovely. And a lot of candles say that there's going to be tonka in there, and they never really deliver on the tonka. Tonka is different from vanilla. It's a little bit richer, darker, woodsier. And the base of this candle is a really nice, deep, warm tonka note. And it's this candle is almost sort of intoxicating in the sense that it's not overly sweet. It's kind of pillowy and almost fluffy, but at the same time quite rich and creamy and deep. I don't pick up a ton on the almond, but there is something a little bit nutty to it. You know how sometimes vanilla and tonka can have a little bit of a nutty vibe to it? I would never specifically pick out almonds though. To me, this is sort of like a tonka and cashmere candle. I mean, it is just absolutely lovely. It's a very low to mid-range candle. There's nothing up in the higher register about this candle. It's very, very, very bassy. There's nothing sort of bright or effervescent about it. It's really, really deep and rich. At the same time though, it's also a little bit light and airy. I mean, I repurchased this candle. I repurchased 3 of the candles from this Wizard of Oz collection because I like the fragrances so much. My favorite one so far is I'll Get You My Pretty, which is the Green Witch candle with a really interesting and soft cardamom note in it. But this one was absolutely lovely as well. Moving on to performance, this did quite well for a Goose Creek candle. Right at the very end here, it did get a little bit murky and a little bit sooty, and you can in fact see that the jar caught a little bit of soot that was coming off of it. We're at about here, so there is still about a quarter of the candle left, but I burned it all the way down until I could see the wick nickels, and I felt like most of the fragrance had dissipated from it, and it was starting to get into that weird Goose Creek murky territory, and so I called it a day. And I'd say that the strength and throw was probably a 6.5. I'm gonna give it a 6.5. Now here's the thing about this candle though. I think sometimes we confuse range for strength and throw, right? And so there was nothing super high-pitched or bright about this candle. No sort of first impression sniff that kind of hit you in the face. This was a deep, dark, lower range candle. So those candles, even if they're strong, they tend to not always come across quite as noticeable. However, I actually only burned this in my bedroom because it was just so lovely. I really wanted to sort of experience experience it kind of like as purely as I could. And so I kept it in my bedroom, and I'd say that it got to like a 6.5 in there. And it wasn't like a slap you in the face 6.5. It was, but at the same time, you didn't have to search for it either. You didn't quite go nose blind to it, and it definitely did have a presence, but it was just in such a lower register than a lot of other candles that I guess I've been burning lately, that even though it had a good presence and a decent amount of strength and throw, it didn't feel like it was super strong or bright. Does any of this make any sense to you guys? Because I feel like this candle, I feel like a lot of people would say that they didn't get any strength and throw at all out of this candle. But I think that those people are probably gonna be the types of people that are used to burning candles that are in a much higher register. Even for a mostly like vanilla and cashmere candle, this candle sits very, very, very low. And, you know, it's kind of like how, you know how sometimes a deeper voice is harder to hear, even if it's at the same volume as a higher pitched voice. Does that make any sense? Sometimes it's harder to hear a voice down here than it is to hear a voice that's up here. Right? And so I thought that the strength and throw on this candle was really good, as long as you're not looking for something that, is really like in your face. You know, it was almost like, I don't want to necessarily call it a background fragrance, but I just thought it worked really, really nicely as a lovely, subtle bedroom fragrance. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I repurchased this one. Now, I am not sure that I'm necessarily gonna recommend this candle just because of all of this other stuff that I just said. I think that for a lot of people, they're not gonna think this candle is strong enough, but this is a candle I found that you kind of had to stop and smell the roses to enjoy this one. You know, like when I was in my bedroom reading or watching TV, I actually spent quite a lot of time with this fragrance and felt like I really got to know it and enjoy it. And I was worried it was gonna sell out, and so I went onto the Goose Creek website and I reordered 3 of these Wizard of Oz candles because I wanted to reorder some of the Beetlejuice candles, but they sold out so quickly I didn't have the chance to do that, so I didn't want to make the same mistake with this one. Not a powerhouse of a candle, not something I would recommend unless you really do enjoy vanilla and cashmere fragrances, but I think a lot of people would enjoy this, especially if anything that I've been saying so far in this review sort of resonates with you, like a deep, dark tonka. Yeah, I really like this one. I am having a little bit of a hard time kind of describing it as accurately as I would have liked to, but hopefully something in this review helped you out. Anyways, there's No Place Like Home by Goose Creek and the Wizard of Oz. No big complaints, no complaints. I really enjoyed this. I'm excited for my other one to get here. Anyways, that's all I have for you folks today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you could hit me up with a like, comment, subscription, that would mean the world to me. And until next time, my dear, gorgeous, and beautiful candle-loving friends, let's burn some candles and bitch about it. Thanks, you guys. Bye now.